And then I told her, yes, I like girls. I never been into boys, and I finally found somebody that I want to be with. And she was so like distraught, and she started crying, and she said, "How do you think this is going to make us look?" For a moment there, I was like,
She was more
okay,
worried about herself than
yeah.
her. What is it about being gay that makes you different?
I really don't see anything. So me, I see a guy and I'm like, oh, okay, like my brother, my friend, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see Erin and I'm like, oh, she's cute. I like her. I'm attracted to her. That's the only difference, because I, just like you, want somebody to
Mm-hmm.
love you back. So if I was, for some reason, sad, I didn't want to feel that emotion. So I transferred it to being angry.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because to me, I felt better just being mad versus being sad.
We gon' do it like it's priceless. Take it to the moon. Priceless. One day will be soon. Like it's priceless.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of D-Talk with Dr. Pham. You never know what you're gonna hear today, so we're gonna switch gear a little bit today. Normally, I do talk about medical stuff, and and then in between, I talk about kind of different stuff, kind of make it interesting. But just as a reminder, today, this episode specifically, I'm not going to really be talking about anything about urologic or men's health, women's health, anything like that. So I just want to remind everyone, though, that if I do, that's just my opinion. From what I know, that isn't meant for you guys to diagnose and seek treatment based on my diagnosis. The whole purpose that I wanted to do this in the first place was to just kind of spread the knowledge. And then if you think you have it, go to your doctor, get it worked up so that, but that's the legal disclaimer I got to put out. But I want to introduce everyone. This is Alex Geyer, and welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Alex and I have been working together for about, year and a half? June, July last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
So
2022.
2022. Oh, wow. Golly, time flies. It's like we're just in sync like this. So whenever I do surgery, I don't use residents. I use a certified surgical assistant, and I used a lot. I mean, I worked with a lot. I work with, if you are watching it, I'm sorry, I'm not going to call your name out, but I worked with young guys that would cry in between surgeries while I don't know, I guess they think I'm their therapist. So, while I'm sewing up the penis, it's like crying on, making the drape all unsterile, and maybe that's the reason why there was a risk of infection at that one point. No, I'm just kidding. And and then I work with surgical assistants that they couldn't find anyone, so they sent one down, and I tied a knot, and the guy's like, poor guy. I mean, I guess he made bad investment. That's why he was probably got to be 70 and still working. And so he's trying to cut the scissors. And, these are tiny sutures because, I work on little babies. And finally, I'm like, are you okay? He's like, I'm so sorry, Dr. Pham. I can't see anything. And I go, you can't see anything, but you're going to charge my patient? Well, he said, well, my company is, not me. Anyways, needless to say, I'm so glad I found Alex. I think my outcome has been better since July 2022. I mean, she's just amazing. But the reason why I brought her on today is because, I don't, I never experience it. All I do is read it. And, we service everyone, LGBT and everything. And, over the years, Alex and I kind of like almost brother and sister almost. Don't you feel like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're always having fun in the OR, cracking up, just having a good time. But then, Alex started to tell me about how she came out and how her parents reacted and all that. And you know, I was just thinking like, wow, I just never knew this. All I knew was like what I read, people just come out and then everyone's like, oh, that's fine. Hey, how are you? Good. But I don't think that's really how it works. So I'm going to let Alex tell. So, am I right, Alex? That's not really
Yes.
how it works, right?
It depends on every family, every person.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a little different. In my case, it was very frowned upon just because of our religion, our culture. Being Hispanic has a lot to do with it. And so it was really hard when I first came out to my mom and then to, my family. So at first, well, to this day, my parents like do not accept me as, as I am. And
How long ago was this, Alex?
this was in 2018, 19.
Okay, yeah, not too long ago. Yeah,
No.
7 years, something like that.
And I mean, I knew that I really didn't like boys like in high school, I believe.
Yeah.
High school. But I never said anything because I knew how they were going to react. So I found somebody and we used to work together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left and we were friends. We always like kept in touch and all that. But nothing really happened until I started going back to the hospital to assist one of the doctors. And we just started talking a little bit more, and then things got a little bit more serious.
And did you know she was a lesbian at the time, or no? Like,
No, I didn't know.
y'all were just talking, and
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't know, but she was, but she just didn't tell me.
I
So
see.
yeah, so then later on she told me, and so that's what happened.
I see. And so, how did you find out, or how did you come to the conclusion of how you were gonna tell your parents? Because it
Well,
must be hard. I mean, I come from a Vietnamese family, so our culture is probably the same.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened was I had moved out of the house and I was renting a house. And at the time, it was about February, we went on a mission trip,
February of
2019.
2019. Okay.
Yeah. We went on a mission trip
You
and
and your future
Aaron.
wife. Yeah,
Yes.
Erin. Yeah. Okay.
We went to Mexico, and after that, whenever we came back, she was like, I'm just gonna move in with you. I can't, like, I'm not gonna go back home. I'm gonna bring the kids, move in. And I was okay with that because,
Oh wait,
at,
she was married already,
no, no,
or
no.
was married, or
Oh, in the past,
in
she
the
was.
past? Oh, okay, so she had kids from the past. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was going to move in with the kids and all of that. And that's how that worked out. So one day, my mom drove to see, I guess she was going to come see me, but she didn't text me or call me. And she saw different cars in the driveway. And later,
Does she
when,
normally text you and stuff and call you before she comes, or?
yeah,
So did she not text you and call you this time because she was suspecting something, or she just didn't do it that day?
she just didn't. She just, I guess, wanted to surprise me or something. I really don't know. But the next time, so I would go visit them every weekend, every Sunday. I went over that Sunday and she asked me about it. What are these cars in your driveway? And so then I told her what happened, that I was gay and that yes they moved in. She moved in with her kids and all that, and it was the way I felt was like I was in trouble. It was horrible.
Oh, I can only imagine. Well, before we go into your mom's reaction, I don't want to be using the wrong words. Um, because I don't have personal experience with this, but I do treat a lot of patients, in the Montrose area, which has a
Mm-hmm.
lot of LGBT. But so is is there? I always thought that gay was for guys and lesbians for girls, but that's not true.
I think so for the majority of the part, but for some reason, gay is just like a general term as well.
I see. Okay,
Hmm.
so it doesn't mean so you can use lesbian or you can use gay. It doesn't
Yep.
matter.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So I this is the part I'm like, I'm my heart's shaking for you, so because I know my mom would probably kill me, so I
Yes.
probably wouldn't be here interviewing anyone. But
Hmm.
yeah, so tell me, like, uh, set the scenario for me. Were you guys in the kitchen, or did you go, "Hey, mom, have a seat," or?
Yeah. So we were in the living room. She was sitting on the couch, and I was sitting on like an individual chair.
Yeah,
And she
like
started,
kind of fall apart,
yeah,
or yeah.
she started asking me questions, just like, what's going on? These cars. I think she drove by more than once or something. I have no idea. But and then I told her, yes, I like girls. I never been into boys, and I finally found somebody that I want to be with. And she was so like distraught, and she started crying, and then she was I
She didn't think you were joking or anything like that at
no,
first.
no,
So,
no, no.
yeah.
And so she started crying, and she said, "How do you think this is going to make us look?" And for for a moment there I was like,
She was more
okay,
worried about herself and
yeah.
her, yeah, and the
And
family's image.
yeah, and so I started thinking, I was like, well, this is not really about you. This is more about me and telling you like what's going on in my life. So after that, um, and then my dad came,
That
and
same day,
that same day,
she called them. It's like, you need to come over here right now, kind of thing.
no, he was in their bedroom
Oh,
in the
both of them came.
computer.
Oh,
No, he was in the bedroom on the computer, and my mom and I were in the living room
right.
talking.
So they,
Yeah.
so when your mom came, your dad and mom both came.
No,
Right.
well, I was just talking to my mom at the time.
Right, right. Okay, your dad came later.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
When I was crying, my mom was crying, and then my dad came because he was like, "What's going on?"
And where's Aaron and all the kids at this time?
She was there at the house,
Yeah, but they
at
were
my
just
house.
right. But were they just all kind of in a room, like just?
No, they didn't know what was happening.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
they didn't know what was
Yeah.
happening. So I I was leaving, and so I didn't tell my dad anything. I just gave him a hug, and he said, "Is everything okay?" I said, "Yes," even though I wasn't okay, and I got in the car and I went home.
Oh, wow. So, okay. So what happened after that? So then I'm assuming your mom told your dad that,
Yes.
yeah. And so did your dad call you or?
Yes. So my mom told my dad, and one day my dad just calls me and he was so angry, and he said something along the lines of, "Don't ever call me. You're not like part of my family
Wow.
anymore." Um and he was just so mad,
Wow.
and I
You never
I
seen him like that mad in your life
no.
before.
And all I said was, "Okay, okay, and bye." That was it. Like I was crying because of everything he was saying, and just said okay, and I hung up the phone.
And this was 2019 or 2020?
2019.
2019. And
Hmm.
then from 2019, you haven't spoken to your parents at all.
Not really, no.
Wow.
So I would text my mom here and there just to see, are you still alive? This and that. How are you? And she was like, "Don't ever text me again."
Oh, wow. So to this day, it's been
It's been hard.
4 years.
Hmm.
About about 4 years,
I
something like
think like 5, 6 years.
that. No, when your parents found out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And wow. And just like that.
Yeah.
Wow. So Christmas, nothing. Your mom didn't text you or anything.
No,
Or,
we don't speak at all. And so then when I left, I didn't talk to any of my family. Not even my grandparents, my aunts, my cousin, nobody.
so were they all mad at you too? Your grandparents, your
I think they
aunts, and
were
all that?
more like in shock. And then I thought, well, this is how my mom reacted. They probably don't want anything to do with me either.
Right.
So, but later on, my aunt texted me. So I have two aunts here. One of them texted me, and the other one did also. And they were like, we miss you. We don't know anything about you. I hope you're okay. And we started reconnecting again.
And how long after the incident with your mom was that?
It was 21 after COVID.
After COVID.
Hmm.
Wow. And do you have any siblings or anything, Alex, or you're the only one?
No, I do have one sister is younger than me, about a year and a half
Do you
younger.
talk to her or
No,
Oh, so she doesn't talk to you either.
no.
If anything, she should be the one that's most understanding. You know, we live in a new age. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I don't condone what your parents did, but I can see why. Just because in my culture, it's
Hmm.
kind of the same. You know,
Yeah.
but usually siblings they don't really want to get involved. In my situation, anyways, usually siblings don't want to get involved when it, you know, like if I have another, you know, there's six of us,
Hmm.
and let's say, you know, one of my sibling got into it with my mom and dad, I just kind of stay out because
Hmm.
I don't know the whole story. There's always two sides to every story, you
Hmm.
know. But so really only your two aunts kind of reached out and kept in touch with you.
Yeah. And now, I talk to my grandparents as well.
Okay, good. So
Yeah,
that's
my grandparents, they don't care. And like I've gone over with Aaron, and they'll say hi and this and that, and we'll talk.
But they don't care, as in they never even cared, or it took them time to kind of just
I don't
realize.
I don't think they cared from the beginning, but because of the way my mom reacted, in my mind, that's how I thought like everybody was gonna react.
Right.
So I just pulled away
Oh, okay. So you're
because I just didn't want to get hurt from everybody else as well.
right.
Mhm.
No, I mean I can see it in your eyes. It's a very painful thing, you know, and that's why I really appreciate you coming on, because I think a lot of, you know, my guests that watch this, you know, we have funny moments, but then, you know, life also has very serious moments. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there are like me, you know, we hear the stories, we read about it, but to personally work with someone that's gay, you know, like if you didn't tell me you were, I would have never known. You're just another human being.
Yeah.
Seriously, I had no idea.
No, a lot of people don't like when they see me. They don't think that I'm gay or anything either.
Right. Well, you know, but I think there's a stereotype that, you know, that gay people look a certain way or something like that.
Mhm.
But like, I just, maybe a few exception here and there, but you work with me in that clinic, Alex. You
Mhm.
know, there's a lot of gay people that they just are just normal human beings.
Yeah, they look like everyday people.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I guess, you know, the reason why I wanted to bring Alex on is to get a perspective from her perspective, because from my perspective, I just don't really see the issue, because at the end of the day, it's your life,
Mm-hmm.
not mine, right? And sometimes I think parents blow it out of proportion, because exactly what you said with your grandparents is your parents may think that other people may think bad, when in reality they probably don't even care.
Yeah.
But it's just sad that your mom and dad don't have a relationship with you. And I really don't know why your sister doesn't have a relationship with you, because of all people, probably she's the younger generation, and she
Mm-hmm.
would be more accepting, because this isn't like 50 years ago, where people just shy away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is very sad, because you know now, don't use this against me to get your employer to pay you more, but I'm not gonna lie. I've been doing medicine for a long time, 15 years, and I have, including residents, I have never worked with someone as good as you. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you.
Yeah. Uh, I know as a surgeon, I take the credit, but I'm gonna tell y'all a little truth. Alex does the most amazing closure. And when it comes to penile surgery, closure is everything, because that's what the guy looks at. And so, talking about that, before I forget, why don't you tell the audience about, about what Erin said when she found out you worked with a penis doctor?
First of all, I told her, well, number one, he's the penis king, as we can see.
Come here, yo.
And so then she said, well, he's the penis king, then you're the penis queen.
Yeah, she definitely is. But so how does Aaron? What about Aaron's parents? How did they take it?
At first, well, her dad was like, I love you no matter what.
Is Aaron Hispanic too, or
No, just
is she
Caucasian.
white? Caucasian. Okay,
Mhm.
okay. So her dad was accepting.
Yeah, and her mom was too. There was a little hesitation here and there, but nothing like my family.
Mm-hmm.
They always talked to her, loved her, did whatever she needed help with something, they were always there. So her family never had an issue per se.
But your aunts, let me ask you this: your aunt and your sister, were they born here or were they born in Mexico?
So we're from El Salvador.
El Salvador. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
El Salvador. Yeah.
Yeah, so my sister and I were born in El Salvador,
Okay.
and my aunts, they were too. But when I came here, I had just turned 5,
Mm-hmm.
or I was 4, and my sister was 2.
So she was still pretty young.
Mhm.
I kind of find it kind of surprising that, but who knows? It could be your mom, telling
Yeah,
her.
I don't know, but one day she just sent me this long text message, and she was just really angry and mad.
At
And
you?
yeah, at the whole situation, I guess. And so I was like, okay, after this, I don't want that in my life, because it's so much drama and it brings you down so much. I was just like, you know what? I'm happy with my new family, with my kids, and that's all I need.
No, that's the right approach. It's just unfortunate that, because I know that your parents are gonna regret it. I already know it. I mean, let's just face it. We all will someday return to dust.
Yeah.
And trying to make up for that time, I think is gonna be very tough.
Mhm.
And so, one of the reasons why I brought Alex on is, the bigger theme is acceptance, right? And so when I first met Alex was because my PA had quit. And so I needed someone to assist me with surgery because the type of surgery I do, is on little children, magnification, all that. And I think I went through a good 3, 4, maybe five surgical assistant before I finally. I'm very particular when it comes to surgery, and Alex is the one that has stayed with me the longest. Wow, I can't believe it. It's 2021.
Mm-hmm.
It's how long we've been working together.
22.
2022.
Mm-hmm.
So July 22. I'm bad with math, so I'm not your typical Asian. Everybody knows that. I'm not your typical Asian, okay?
Yeah, so about a year and a half.
About if it's 2022.
So it'll be 2 years this June.
Yeah, it'll be 2 years this June.
Mm-hmm.
You see why I need Alex? I mean, like, but wow. And so, but what about El Salvador itself? Do they have like a LGBT culture over there, or is it still kind of taboo,
So because I grew up here, I went there in 2017, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it didn't seem like there was any, LGBT community or anything. So in reality, I really don't know.
Right.
Because I don't visit. I don't really go there.
Right. So moving forward, did you ever ask your grandma to maybe like talk to your mom, or you just kind of just left it at that?
No, well, one of the times I went to visit my grandma, and she said, every time your mom comes, I always tell her something about, she's your daughter, she's your blood. It doesn't matter. You should still love her, talk to her, and all of that. But, I mean, there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah,
I just let it go, and, I had to go to therapy, like a bunch of different things.
And you still do.
Yeah.
It's a traumatic experience that I don't wish upon my worst enemy, And so, but it wasn't until I met you that it would really open my eyes, because I always had this thing in my head where there's certain stereotype that, that I can look at someone and I'll know right away, if they are, gay or not, and all that. Not in a good or bad way. It's just, it's just like I can look at a Chinese person and know, okay, that's likely Chinese, that's likely Korean, like that's all I'm getting at. But with you, and I met Erin. She came up to the clinic. If you guys didn't tell me, I would never know.
Yeah, no, she doesn't look gay either.
No, and that really changes the stereotype, because I think there's still, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's still a stereotype out there.
Yeah,
because
usually they'll be like, okay, who's the dad? Like, who dresses more like
manly,
and all that. But
both of you guys are super feminine. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say that. I mean, like, I don't know who's the dad, who's the mom, but to me, it looks like there's two moms.
Correct.
Yeah. And so, but there is a stereotype still out there, and it just amazes me that we're in 2024 and you still have, people that just, either are not educated about the topic or whatever it may be, but and so maybe you would be better to answer the question, but what is it about being gay that makes you different?
Well, I really don't see anything. It's just I am like, just you see Rosemary, right?
Yeah.
And you think she's cute, she's pretty, you like her personality, all of that. So me, I see a guy and I'm like, oh, okay, like my brother, my friend, or whatever. And so I see Erin and I'm like, oh, she's cute, I like her, I'm attracted to her. That's the only difference, because I, just like you, want somebody to
Mm-hmm.
love you back. So the only difference is the gender.
Right. And it really opened my eyes because, like I said, I mean, I saw Aaron up in the clinic one day, and I was like, I couldn't recognize her from the picture. Like she was just kind of like you, just very feminine. And then I didn't realize it was Aaron until you told me, "Hey guys, this is Aaron."
Hmm.
Even though everybody in there were girls,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, but do you feel like, when you go places, do you feel people treat you differently, or
So
if you go by
yes,
yourself, then they probably don't know that you're,
yes. So if I'm by myself, I don't. If I'm with her and we're just walking without like holding our hands or, locking arms, no. But one time we went on vacation and we went to Alabama, and there was a lot of people looking at us funny. And so we were like, okay, we're on vacation with the kids. We don't want anybody to yell or say anything to us because we have the kids. And so we were like, okay, well, I'm not going to hold your hand. We're just going to be together, but no like PDA.
right,
Just because people were looking at us a little
weird.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, I can definitely see that. Like there's still people that that still, I mean, not just LGBT, Asian, minority group. I mean, you name it.
Hmm.
It's just that's just the sad reality of of uh, of where we are right now. I mean, I
Hmm.
think we've made a lot of progress in the last 50 years, but I think there's still a lot of progress that needs to be made.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, in terms of, you mentioned kids, so I'm assuming this is Aaron's children. Yeah. So how did they first take the news of Aaron moving in with you?
So Dylan is our oldest. He's 23, I believe.
The one that just moved to Colorado?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was like, I love you, mom. I support you no matter what. It's not a big deal.
He calls you mom and everything.
Well, he calls me Alex.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The difference is like if they call her mom, she answers. And if they call me mom, it takes me a little bit to register and then I'll answer.
Okay, so he's
So it's easier for them to call me Alex
Alex.
or Ale.
Right.
And so
But
I'll answer quicker.
right, but not out of disrespect. It was
No.
just so that
So they can get my attention quicker.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So he was fine. He
This is Dylan, the 23-year-old.
Dylan, yes. At the time he was starting he was a senior. He was starting his 12th grade in high school. And he didn't care. He's like, "You're my mom. I love you no matter what."
Oh, that's so sweet. So how did Aaron break the news to Dylan? Like, hey guys, we're gonna be moving in with Alex, or
Yeah, well,
or
when we came back from Mexico,
the missionary trip.
yes. He was like, Aaron went to the house and she was like, "Okay, guys, we're moving." And he was like, "Okay, let's go."
Just
He
like that.
just like that. He didn't ask questions. I believe that's when Aaron told him.
He could have been kidnapped. So he just went, okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
So I believe Aaron told him whenever she came back. And so she was like, "Okay, we're moving." And then he was like, "Okay, I understand why." And
I
so
see.
they moved in.
Right. And so, but there's three of them, right?
There's four.
Four. Okay, four. So then the second oldest is
Miles.
Miles. So how did Miles take the news?
He was okay. He didn't really have a problem
How old
with.
was he at the time?
He was 15, 14, 14, 15.
Okay, so he's kind of at that vulnerable
Yeah.
teenage years.
Hmm.
Yeah, so how did he take the news?
He was okay. What he struggled with was the move, because they lived in Spring and I was living in the Woodlands. So they were still going to the same school.
Not too far.
No, it's not too far, but their friends were, in the same neighborhood and all of that. So he struggled a little bit, but he never.
Just because of his friends and
Yeah.
stuff, not because of we're moving in with Alex.
No,
Right.
no, and he, the four boys never really had anything against me.
Right.
And he just struggled because moving, it's hard to move from one house to a different house.
Right. Because
And then it's not,
that 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then your third one is
Carson.
Carson. Yeah.
Yeah, Carson was fine. He did wanna. So their dad lives in Spring as well, but he was like, no, I want to go with dad, just because the transition was a little hard.
Mm-hmm. How old was he at the time?
He was like 7, I believe, 8.
Okay, so that's a tough age.
Yeah, something new, something different. But the two little boys, they didn't really ask. Aaron was just like, okay, this is what's happening. And they were like, okay.
Okay.
They didn't have any issues or really questions about it.
So both of them wanted to stay with dad in Spring.
No.
Only Carson did.
Carson wanted to spend more time there.
Okay.
But it's because the only reason is he didn't want to sleep at the new house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why was that? Just you like his room, or?
He didn't want to be embarrassed from wetting the bed, just in case.
I see.
But because he didn't want to be embarrassed, but he never wet the bed, and he's been dry for a while. So he finally, I told him, I don't really care, and then he was like, oh, okay. So he got more comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was fine.
And then the youngest is?
The youngest is Spencer.
Right. And I think he's your favorite. I think.
No.
No, Carson's your favorite.
No, I don't have a favorite.
You like them all? There's one that you always talk about.
Spencer.
Yeah.
I talk about Spencer because
I just assumed that.
He takes more time. So because he's the youngest,
Yeah.
he requires more attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Carson, he's up and going. He doesn't really need that much of attention. But Spencer, because he's younger, he wants you to play with him or go to his room.
How old is he now?
Now he is 12.
Okay, so he's starting to get to that age
Yeah.
where he's probably you'll probably miss it.
No,
because,
yeah, I know, but he's about to cut me off.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest, just to kind of follow on that. That was kind of one of my biggest regret was, I have Oliver, who's 9. You met him, and then Avery, my 4-year-old, who really loves Alex. Gosh, I don't even remember Oliver growing up. And God, if I could do anything, I would buy back time. And, it's just, so I can totally, and everyone I talked to said the same thing. And for some reason, it's kind of like it's passed on that, hey, enjoy your children while you can, because they're not going to want to be with you forever. But it's like everyone tells you that, but then you don't do it. And then the next generation tell the other generation the same thing, and they still don't do it. And so, wow. So how does it work? Now, you moved back to Spring, right?
Yes, we moved back to Spring, yes.
Yeah. And so was it so that you guys can be closer to their dad so that it's easier to,
Yes.
spend time together?
Yes. So in the beginning, we would do like 2 days with him, 2 days with us, a weekend with him, weekend with us. So we didn't want to be like, okay, a whole week with us because they did miss their dad, you know.
Hmm.
So and because they were so little, we were like, we don't want to just go a whole week here and a whole week there because they did miss their dad and then they did miss us.
Right.
So we moved back to Spring and the schools, it was the same school. We were maybe like 7 minutes away from each other. So it made it really easy. We would go drop them off, he would drop them off. It was very easy.
And how easy it is to be a blended family like that.
So now it's very, we're friends,
Right.
we're cordial. Now we actually live in the same neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids, they can ride their bike back and forth. It's really, really easy. And mostly we did that for them
Right.
because we want them to be able to go to whatever house they want.
How did it was it like that from the get-go with Aaron's ex, or how did was Aaron's ex like, I don't want anyone near my kids, anything like that, or
No, because I had met him before.
mm-hmm.
Like we went to dinner, just me and him, and we talked, and everything was fine. And he saw that I was really good with the boys.
Y'all went to dinner to kind of just talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to talk in general. Yeah.
Right.
And the boys always loved me, and they were like, "Oh, Alex this, Alex that." Mostly because I like to act like a child. I like
Well,
to
I think that's why
play.
you're good with kids. I think that's why.
So,
No.
they're like, "Oh, I want to learn how to skateboard." Okay, let's go. And I'll get on the skateboard or get on my rollerblades and I'll go play with them. So they really like that.
That's really awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, so really the only one that kind of right now has issues that still need to be resolved really is just your mom and your dad and your sister. It
Yeah.
sounds
So
like.
like my immediate family. Yeah.
Yeah. But it sounds like your aunt, uncle, grandparents, they're kind of, it's her life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, I have a funny story. And, you know, I think it was at Texas Woman's was when I found out that you were gay
Hmm.
because this is the funniest thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I had no idea. Like, Alex, at that time, we probably worked together, 6 months or something?
Yeah, it was been a short time.
Yeah, it was a short time. And, I had different surgical assistants to choose from. And I worked with all of them. They're all okay, but Alex was just exceptional. And, you just know it. You know it when you know it. And just probably like how you felt with Aaron.
Hmm.
And so we were at a hospital, and they needed urology, and so I was on call that day. So the surgeon who was in the room with operating on her patient also had a surgical assistant, and I did not know that surgical assistant was. Now you guys got to kind of have to follow this, okay? The surgical assistant that always helps that surgeon is actually Aaron's ex-husband,
Hmm.
which I didn't know anything about. And so since he was already there, I think I think Alex, you were finishing up another case, right?
And you told me, no, I don't need you because they have somebody else in there
Yeah,
already.
yeah, that's right. And so Alex finished, and Alex was like, "Hey, Dr. Pham, do you need me on helping this case?" I said, "No, there's somebody here." And so I ended up, when I'm operating, I like to ask people, about their stories. A lot of people have really cool stories,
And he did know that I was working with you because we had talked about it, Dr. Pham.
Oh, he did already.
Yeah,
Okay,
but he didn't know. No, he did know that I was working with you.
right.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't tell me that.
Oh, okay.
And so I told him, I said, I didn't know if he was a resident or anything. So I just asked him. He's like, "Oh no, I'm a surgical assistant." And I said, "Oh, do you know Alex?" And so he's like, "Yeah." And then I just kind of was like, "Yeah, I worked with her for like 6 months or something. And man, she's like really good and all this." And then it wasn't, I think, towards the end when he told me, he's like, um, Alex is married to my ex-wife. And that thing, like, that it's almost like a brain teaser. Like, I think I had to redo the anastomosis because I couldn't think straight. No, I'm just kidding, I didn't. But I was like, whoa, 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 hold on. Hold on a second, stop. I go, wait, say that again? And he goes, yeah, I know Alex very well. So Alex is married to my ex-wife. And I go, oh. I'm like, well, why didn't you just tell me that from the start? He's like, I don't know. I wanted to see what you felt about Alex. So I think that's when I knew. I was like, and then remember, I think I texted you. I was like, hey, I saw your wife's ex. Yeah, he was really nice. But that was awesome. And he said a lot of good things about you too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good dad to the kids.
Yeah. And so I think, these therapy sessions, like, do you feel like, I guess, what is most sad about it that you think therapy helps you? Because I know you're happy being married to Aaron, having the kids, I know you talk about them a lot. But these therapy sessions, are they geared towards, like, what exactly the end game for that? Is it to, like, accept your parents, or I mean, like, what is that? Because I'm pretty sure you're sad that you don't have that relationship with your mom and dad.
Yeah, so I never wanted to go to therapy because, there's a stigma behind it.
Right.
And
And there
especially,
shouldn't be, but there
correct.
is.
And so, especially being Hispanic, like, for some reason, they don't believe that you're depressed, that you need to go to therapy, that you need medicine. Everybody's just like, it's just in your head.
Shake it off.
Yeah, just you're happy, just, you're fine. But Erin started going, and she said, you should go too. And so,
Why was Aaron going, if you don't mind me asking?
I think
It didn't have to has anything to do with her being gay.
No,
right?
no,
Okay.
it
So
was
for
like-
something else.
yes.
Okay.
So then, she called me, and I set up an appointment, and I started going. And yes, it was because I had all this emotion, traumatic, feelings and all of that, a lot of anger. And it was just all bottled in because of
Anger that your parents didn't accept you, or anger, like, was it just anger in general, or is it because of mainly
No,
your
it
parents,
was,
or?
yeah, it was because of my parents. And so I just, like, I was very sad because it's my mom and dad.
Yeah. Oh, without
So
doubt.
I started
I would
going.
be crushed.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
started going because of that. And the other thing is like I never cried. I never like expressed my emotions. And so if I was for some reason sad, I didn't want to feel that emotion. So I transferred it to being angry.
Mm-hmm.
And so because to me, I felt better just being mad versus being sad.
Right.
And so I started having, because I would bottle everything in, I started having like these outbursts of just, one little thing would happen and I would go off, even if it was like insignificant. So I was like, okay, well, I do need to fix myself and help myself so I can be a better person to my wife and to my kids. So yeah.
Right. So, does the therapist recommend like mending your relationship with your parents, or I mean, like, where do you go from here?
Yeah, so little by little, we've been working on kind of like letting it go, but in a healthy way. Because we tried already, trying to talk or have a relationship, and obviously that's not going to happen. So now we're working on l- acceptance, like you said, accepting that they're not going to be there for me emotionally, physically. So I have to learn coping skills on how to accept that and not be so sad or angry about it.
Is it kind of like the 5 stages of
Of grief.
grief? Yeah.
Yes.
And so, wow. And so, but back to high school. I mean, when did you said high school, but was it like, did you ever dated a guy before, or you just never found them interesting?
I never dated a guy before, and there was, certain guys that would talk to me and they kind of wanted a little bit more than being friends,
Yeah.
but I never pursued it because I wasn't interested.
Right.
Mhm.
So were you like, when did you know for sure, like, you didn't like guys?
At pretty much at the end of high school, so kind of like my senior year.
Okay, that's when you knew, like,
Hmm.
I see. And so it sounds like, it was a whirlwind initially, it sounds like, gosh, I would hate to be in your position sitting in that chair and just telling your mom, and
Yeah,
then
it
she
was
just
hard.
like, yeah. But did you plan to tell her that day, or it was just, you
I
know,
did not.
it was just,
I never, like, in my head, I never had a specific day. I never knew when I was going to tell her. I didn't know how to tell her. And so I don't know. It just, she started asking me questions, and I said, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I'm going to put everything out there on the table. Like, I'm done hiding myself because I was. I was hiding myself. I was hiding, Aaron and the kids. So, and that was hard for Aaron as well because she felt like she wasn't as important because I kept hiding them.
right.
Mhm.
So do you think living in Houston is, you know, similar? Well, you live in Spring, but I guess, like, is there a difference how people see you? Like, let's say when you were up in the Woodlands versus when you were in Springs, or it was all kind of the same?
It was all kind of the same because in the Woodlands they also have like a Pride Day, I
Mm-hmm.
think they call it. I don't remember what it's called really, but they have like a bunch of tents and they have, a festival and all that. Just like they have the parade in Houston, except that in Houston is way bigger
Right,
because they do like the parade and go through the streets and all of that.
right.
But no, there isn't really a difference because there are also, gay bars up there.
Right.
Hmm.
So do you feel like Houston is a little bit more accepting than, let's say, other cities you've been through to, like, well, for sure, Alabama was one.
Hmm.
Where Mobile, or where in
Yeah, we were. Yeah,
Mobile?
yeah.
Okay.
It was. Yeah, it was close to there. So really, the cities we've been to, they've been really friendly.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really encountered any, city that they're being, mean or yelling at us or anything like that.
Right. No, like I said, it was an eye opener for me because, I mean, you watch TV, you read books, and then you think there's a stereotype,
Hmm.
but in reality, it's like patients I see, people I work with, like you, like it's like you couldn't even tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and then, and you know, but we're gonna wrap it up here soon. But if you could tell your parents something, what would you tell them?
Really.
I
Um,
mean, it's hard. It's hard,
just that I love them and I miss them.
Yeah. I just hope one day that they realize that at the end of the day, we're all really just dust,
Hmm.
and dust we're gonna return. And you know, one of my old attending once said, no one has laid on their deathbed wishing, oh, I would have did that business deal. I would have made, did that extra case. I would have bought that nice car. But they would all, but everybody on their deathbed would wish, you know what? I wish I would have had a relationship with this person or that person and all
Or
that,
spend more time with the
or
kids.
spend more time with the
Hmm.
kids. And so I hope everyone, who's watching this, you see, like, you really have to go out there and educate yourself, like, which I did, because before I met Alex, I just assume everybody act a certain way, you know what I mean? But that's
Yeah.
just whatever TV portrayed,
Hmm.
I didn't, and then the patients I see in the clinic, I don't spend enough time with them to really know if they are or not. They
Hmm.
just tell me as part of their past medical history,
Yeah.
yeah. But like a lot of them, when they walk in, like, I can't tell.
Yeah, they're just
Yeah,
regular people.
right. And
unless
then,
unless they're very like flamboyant,
yeah, which,
then you can see, you can tell.
yeah, which those, I can see, but
Hmm.
we don't really see that in the
No, we
clinic,
don't.
and then there are ones that I don't, that definitely doesn't show the stereotype, end up, being, yeah. And so, yeah. So I guess my point is, you really can't be, stereotyping. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, we've come a long way, but I think we need to do a better job at coming a much longer way.
Hmm.
But just one final question. Do you think, like, this has ever affected you getting a job or anything like that?
No, because they don't know.
Yeah. And I
They
think
don't
it's
know.
illegal for them to ask anyways.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm not hiding myself. I just don't, that's something that I don't
You don't really talk
say.
about.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
not until later. My other thing is that I'm not a big talker.
Yeah.
I'm very quiet. And so I keep to myself a lot.
Right.
And like, it took me a while to start talking in the
Oh yeah, I
OR with you.
know. I remember, now we have a good time every day, but
Yeah.
yeah, in the
But at
beginning,
first, I was really quiet.
right.
And I don't like to talk about myself.
Yeah.
often, so I'll just talk about the kids or whatever. But yeah, it took me a while to start talking. So in general, people don't know because I don't really talk as much.
Mm-hmm.
I listen. And so later, like, they'll say, "Oh, your husband." I'm like, "No, my wife." And they're like,
Oh, I see.
"Oh." They're
Yeah.
like, "So sorry, I'm so sorry."
Do you get that a lot?
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, like yeah, unless if I didn't meet Aaron's ex, I don't think. I mean, I think eventually you would have told me,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, I just always thought you were married with a guy with kids because I know you talk about kids and stuff,
Mhm.
and and I just I just assume, and that's why I guess they say the assumption's the mother of all f up. So don't assume.
I think you've learned that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, a lot, a lot. But for people who don't know what we're talking about, is I sometimes I just say stuff I don't know why I say it. But what Aaron, not Aaron, what Alex referring to is there are some people who looks pregnant to me. I don't know what formal etiquette is. I just if I everybody who doesn't love having a baby, right? And so if I just see like what looks like having a baby, um, I tell them congratulations, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm not pregnant." Especially the last one, I think I said, congratulations. I think you're gonna be due at any time now, and she's like, no, I just never could shed the weight after my 4-year-old was born. And I was just like,
Just slide into the room.
I was just like, okay. And then I'll leave with this story. I remember when I was a resident at LBJ, there was a mom who we had to use the Spanish interpreter for.
Mhm.
And people that are a little obese, they some of them aren't like proportionally round.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're kind of like they just have this little, like
Yeah,
literally a
they
baby bump.
collect, yeah, the fat here
Yeah,
instead of everywhere else.
yeah, like it's a
Mhm.
literally looks like a baby bump.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I think I was a third year resident, and I was trying to consent this mom for, I can't remember what the surgery was for her son or daughter. It's been a while. All I remember was after she signed the consent and everything, and I asked mom, did she have any question, anything? She said no, she understood and everything. This was through the Spanish translator. And then I told the Spanish translator, I said, oh, by the way, tell mom, we're gonna take good care of your child. But congratulations, looks like you're probably going to be due soon, so he should be recovered by then. And I think mom understood a little bit English but the Spanish interpreter still. I'm glad she didn't whack me in the head, but the Spanish interpreter, said it with a straight face, and the mom was like, "Oh no, 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 baby." And I just went.
Again.
And so I don't know like I have 6 siblings, and they always ask me, they're like, why is it everywhere you go there's drama? Like I'm serious. Like, have you ever worked with any other surgeons that just every day is just drama?
No.
It's like, I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter where I'm at. Doesn't matter if I'm at the hospital. Doesn't matter if I'm at the surgery center. It's just drama just comes. And it's like the improv every day. If
You just have like random incredible stories that are so funny that we wouldn't believe that would happen to you.
All right. Well, so I'm gonna wrap it up with what I call final thoughts, and just to kind of rehash a little bit of what I said before. I think it's long due. I think we progressed a lot within the last 50 years, but I think there's still a lot more work to do. And I think, we really are all the same. I don't know if you guys remember the song, Dust in the Wind. At the end of the day, that's all that is what we are. And if we spend our time chasing money and dividing, you know, dividing us because of, this, of that, if you cut yourself, we all bleed red. And so I think, really learning how to accept, because it's not really like Alex does anything to me. If anything, she helps me. And so, a person who is gay can stab you just like a person who is not gay. They're the same thing. Exactly what I said. We're all going to be dust in the wind. And so when you lay on your deathbed, I promise no one is ever going to not regret having that relationship. So that's my final thoughts on this. Alex?
I just want to say thank you for inviting me, having me here.
Oh, I feel humbled that you came. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just want to, tell everybody, just love your kids, your brother, sister, your parents, whoever it is that, has finally eventually come out or is coming out. Just love them and support them.
That's awesome. That's a good message. So, once again, thank you for tuning in. This episode is a little bit long, but it deserves it because it is a very special episode for me, anyways, and I'm pretty sure for Alex. And you're a natural. I don't think you've ever been on any sort of
No.
podcast or anything. Yeah, and so that just tells you Alex's authenticity. So, we ran a little bit long just because it really deserves even longer. And so once again, I want to thank for tuning in, and then please subscribe so that we can continue to do what we do, which is not really just men's health, which was the original intent. Now, when we got the analytics back, 50% of people who watch it actually are women. And so, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, men's health is really women's health. Mm-hmm. It's kind of all tied in together. And so, but anyways, hit subscribe, support us. We would really love it to be able to continue to do this. And like I said, we do this as a form of charity, just so that potential people, patients can know about just what our thoughts are on different topics and all that. So once again, thank you for watching. And until next time, this is Dr. Pham signing off.
We gon' do it like it's priceless. Take it to the moon. Priceless. One day will be soon. Like it's priceless.